Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I'll wager that most of you don't think about green when you think about a freight train, and I want to explain to you why you should be thinking green when you see a freight train. Freight railroads are lean and green. We're using the latest computer technologies and operating practices of our locomotive engineers and yard masters to achieve tremendous fuel efficiency. To give you an example of that, we can move 1 ton of freight 480 miles on 1 gallon of diesel fuel. That's the equivalent of moving a ton of freight from Baltimore to Boston on 1 gallon of diesel fuel. We're 4 times more fuel efficient than the trucks are, and that's why most customers like to ship by rail, because it helps their carbon footprint. It's an environmentally friendly way to transport goods. And we are energy efficient, and we use hyper-intelligent computer programs to do that. We can move twice the amount of freight that we moved 20 years ago with the same amount of fuel today. So next time you see a freight train, think about freight railroads reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If you move 10% of freight off of the highways onto the railroads, you would save 1 billion gallons of diesel fuel a year, and 12 million tons less CO2 would be emitted into the air. Next time you see a freight train, it's 300 trucks off of the highways, and it's helping to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. We are also a heavily unionized industry. In fact, I like to say we're the bluest of the greenest. Of our 185,000 employees, 85% are unionized. We have 13 unions, and we're proud of it. We had a report issued by the Blue-Green Alliance yesterday. If you haven't seen it, I brought a copy of it here today. It's called Full Speed Ahead, Creating Green Jobs Through Freight Rail Expansion. And in that report, it mentions that if you spend $1 billion on additional capital investment for the freight rail industry, you create 7,800 green jobs, and we're very proud of that. Each freight rail job directly supports 4.5 other jobs in the American economy, and many more if you consider the indirect multiplier effect. So think of us as both a green and a blue industry. Again, I like to say we're the bluest of the green. Next time you see a freight train, and remember that railroads are helping to improve America's environment and being good stewards of the environment. And in fact, one of the best stewards of the environment is our next speaker. That's Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon. He has been a leader in the climate change fight in the Senate, and he serves on the Environment and Public Works Committee, and in fact had a very illustrious career in the Oregon legislature, and was very much involved in what's called Connect Oregon, which was a pioneering program that Oregon put together to invest in freight railroads, so he's very familiar with the importance of freight railroads. He has a common sense approach toward the championship of energy efficiency in the commercial building industry as a sponsor of the Building Star Energy Efficiency Act of 2010. And energy efficiency, of course, is the lowest hanging fruit, and we have most to gain by retrofitting existing buildings. So thanks to Senator Merkley's efforts, we will hopefully begin to make much more progress, and join me in welcoming Senator Jeff Merkley.